Welcome to The Hill's Coronavirus Report. I'm Steve Clemons, editor-at-large of The Hill. Each day we're interviewing consequential leaders and innovators in the battle against the coronavirus. Yesterday, Barcelona's Liceu Opera gave a concert for the first time in more than 3 months. With social distancing restrictions still a very real part of life in Spain and all over the world, the orchestra filled more than 2,000 seats with plants. Yes, plants, in a prelude to its 2021 season. That gesture speaks to the importance of music in our lives. As one of the first American cities to lock down, San Francisco hasn't been able to gather to sing with one another, but that certainly doesn't mean the music has gone away. 300 strong, the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus is known all across the world. Not singing is counterintuitive for all and even debilitating for some. The director of the chorus recently said this: international press has now proclaimed singing in groups one of the most dangerous activities on the planet. What? How could this revered activity that has been at the soul of civilizations over centuries fall so quickly and so far? And yet, that is where we are. Dr. Tim Seelig is the artistic director and conductor of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus and the National LGBTQ Center for the Arts. His recordings have been on Billboard's Top 10 and iTunes Top 10 classical charts. He's also a prolific author. His latest book, The Tale of Two Tims, Big Ol' Baptist, Big Ol' Gay, will be out later this month. Welcome, Tim. I have been a fan of yours for really decades. Let me just start with something that is important for me, and I'd love to hear your thought. I have been following the Gay Men's Chorus for forever, and there was a time where their singing, your singing, and your artistry was what soothed and gave hope and help to people suffering with HIV/AIDS. And now, 30 years into this, we're in another pandemic, and it seems like that ability to gather and sing and be there has been preempted by this virus.
It certainly has. Thank you so much. It's interesting to be a man of a certain age and now to have lived through 2 pandemics that have so critically affected my community. As a person who's HIV positive, this is even closer to home. The first pandemic that I experienced was AIDS and HIV in the late 80s and 90s. During those times, there was fear, of course, of people touching it, catching it, by just touching or hugging, and that went away over a while, and we were able to continue to sing. In fact, the chorus really grew and matured as a family because we were able to be together. This pandemic is completely different, and we're not allowed to gather.
Well, we have some shots that we're showing of which we will continue to, of some of the gatherings, and you see so many of your chorus members together, close in, and we know, as you just as I quoted you saying that it's become a dangerous activity. How are you responding to these times? Because I know that it's not only the goodwill that you bring, but many of these are fundraising events for communities in need that you're contributing time and help to.
That's correct. The chorus does about 50 concerts or appearances a year, and many of those are to help other organizations raise money for their own needs. There's a difference, as people know, in what we do and who we are. And what we do has been taken away. At least we're pivoting to much more online. But the who we are that started in 1978 will never change. And it will be there throughout this pandemic.
How are you adapting in this moment? Are you going online? Are you finding other ways to communicate and sing?
Really, we pivoted really quickly and established SFGMC, San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, TV. And so what that is, we're going back and pulling videos from our archives and releasing those. And we're interviewing wonderful people that every week we release 2 interviews that are a wide range from Kristen Chenoweth to Chasta Buttigieg. And we're also going inside the chorus and doing spotlights on our own singers and our educational outreach, which has been enormous. And we're putting all of that online. So yes, we have a virtual choir, which was amazing, called Truly Brave. Please go see it. It kind of went viral on us, and we're really grateful for that. Now everybody's doing virtual choir, and I just got to say, it's not a choir. It's a bunch of people singing at home that some fabulous editor puts together.
When I started doing these reports, and we didn't, at that time, we knew that COVID was hitting. We didn't yet have 44 million people unemployed. We hadn't had the George Floyd murder that highlighted so many other black men and people of color that had been murdered. We hadn't seen the disproportionate impact that COVID was having on certain communities in this country. So this has shown kind of a lot of the seams and stresses in society and the fragility of rights. And I have to tell you, I was pretty stunned with the Supreme Court decision on LGBT employment. How, I mean, given your longevity, we'll say, your tenure in this arena, how did you hear that Supreme Court decision and amidst all this other terrible news?
Right. It is so incredibly major in our lives. I'll give you just a couple of points. When the chorus began, the very first chorus to actually emerge and have orientation in its name, the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, there was an argument at the first rehearsal, not surprising with 100 gay men in a room, but they had an argument about who they would be. Could they really be the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus? Because in those days, you absolutely could get fired for being gay and being a member of the chorus. They thought of several other names, and they emerged as the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. Interestingly, my tale of two Tims, when I was 35, I had lived 35 years as a big Southern Baptist and a minister, and I came out, and I've spent the last almost 35 waving my arms at the gays. The interesting thing is that the church had every right to fire me, and they still have that right. So that has not been taken away, the right to fire someone because a church doesn't believe about it. So it's been an interesting, yes, thank you for pointing out the longevity. You can add, it's almost 35 plus 35.
Well, I look at that as a strong point. Tell us a little bit about Big Old Tim and Big Old, so the two Tims and Big Old Gay and Big Old Baptist.
Well, just briefly, as I said, I spent 35 years in the womb of the Southern Baptist Church. My parents were Southern Baptist professionals, and my brother as well. And I had a lovely wife and two children, and came out in a mega church of 22,000 people at 35. And I just could not live that lie anymore. And so I came out and had no idea what I was going to do. And there was a gay men's chorus in Dallas. I had no idea that existed. And I started that job really just to pay child support, thinking I would stay a year. And I stayed 20 with the Turtle Creek Chorale in Dallas, Texas. And then I came 10 years ago to the mecca of all things gay, and was honored to be given the opportunity to conduct the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus.
You know, one of the things I've been interested in, Tim, is what happens to community and people's being connected to one another in this world. And, we've been talking about going digital for a long time, but I don't think it really happened until COVID struck. And you saw a mass migration online. I've talked to mayors of Miami, of Seattle, all around the country, Kansas City. And one of the things that comes up is are people feeling isolated, mental health issues, even family violence issues, domestic violence issues. But the isolation is something there. And I'm interested in, as you've reached out, because that's part of the role of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, is to try and connect people, give a sense of community. Does it happen online? Are you seeing new norms and new practices come that will make me worry less that people will remain isolated and disconnected in this new brave world we're in?
I think it really all depends on how long it lasts. And we're nowhere near in San Francisco of getting out of this. We are Zooming like crazy. We have a Zoom event every single day of the week. We do have 300 members, so we have fitness and game night and movie night and cooking classes, so they can still feel a part, but it's not the same. And the real problem, as people will know, is that word aerosolization, where when you get into a room, a closed room, and you sing for an extended period of time, the virus just goes all over the place. So the only thing that they have said at this point that we could do is stand about 8 feet apart outdoors and make sure the wind is at your back. And that's that's not a choir either. So we're gonna hang in here. We are not expecting to begin again or gather at all till 2021, and we hope that we can do it then.
So I don't know how your world works, but I assume there's some kind of network of gay men's choruses out there. I know we've got one in Washington, D.C., and they're all over. I mean, you're the sort of big, the big cheese in the network. And there are also cultural institutions that have helped funded you, and foundations and philanthropies. What is the degree of contact, coordination, sharing of best practices on how to weather these times and how to still matter? I mean, I think that's the real thing. How do you still matter in people's lives? And what are some of the best lessons you've learned from others?
Thank you. One of the questions about a gay men's chorus, period, or a lesbian chorus, or LGBTQ, is relevance. And we have this conversation every single year. And when the AIDS pandemic was over and we had spent all of our time healing and nurturing, we were like, are we still relevant? And then we got into the equal rights fight and like, well, we got marriage. Are we still relevant? So I think that we're going to find that we will, in fact, I think we're going to find that we're even more relevant. Certainly we have been for the last 3 years. Gala Choruses is the network, and the Gay Men's Chorus of the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus began the movement in 1978, and now we are on every continent. They're all over the world, and North America has over 190 gay men's choruses. So in every city, in little cities, large and small, and we are on 2 Zoom calls every week to try and lift each other up and help with ideas and think, how are we going to weather this? And so not only are we nurturing our chorus, but we're nurturing each other as the Gala choral movement.
I think just as we close our conversation, I think one of the things I've heard both from friends of mine who have been in your chorus, but also in Washington, D.C., I don't know if I'm going to phrase this the right way, but I'll try, is you bring in a lot of people who have not really done this before. I mean, singing may be important, but it becomes something that becomes defining, and the obsession, it transforms people. And I don't know if you have any of the stories to share of how you've changed some of the lives of your members, but I think this is a good opportunity to share any of your stories.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I could obviously go on, and we don't have time for that. But when we have auditions, we ask every single auditioner, why the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus and why now? And those answers are wide-ranging, everything from the music, the community. Many people are looking for a place to gather, for family they've lost. They've come from out of town, from a small town where they were abused and thrown out, and so they're seeking that community. And it's pretty equal. I will say that the people that just want to do music usually find that elsewhere. It's a combination. They can join the symphony chorus or the opera chorus, but what we have is a family, and the people that join come for that reason. I would say probably the most dramatic changes come across the board, because you walk in a room with people like you doing this wonderful thing that you may have loved or never done before, and all of a sudden you're accepted. There's no shame, no bullying. There's no more bullying. All those things, and you're in a room of people doing something that really is going to change the world. We have a large sober community in the chorus who have tired of bars or don't want to go there anymore and find family. We have people without family. So, the role that I have filled for all these now 34 years that I've been conducting gay men's choruses is wide-ranging, from conductor, of course, and musician, to daddy, leader, therapist, pastor for many. And we are a big family. Some people say we're a church. I don't accept that, but some people say it is. But I can say that every singer that joins the chorus is changed in some way.
Well, I've really wanted to have a number of discussions about culture and COVID and how they're adapting, and it sounds like you've got a lot of insights like that. But just real quickly, remind people where they can go to the new TV that you've created.
Great. So our website is sfgmc.org, San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, sfgmc.org. It's on the front page, SFGMC TV, and there are it's a pretty amazing array of content. I think you'll enjoy perusing that.
Well, I can't wait. I'm going to also put in an early request for a signed copy of A Tale of Two Tims. Big old Baptist, big old gay. It sounds like a great future TV series on Netflix or HBO. So thank you so much, Tim Seelig. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for all the contributions you have made. And thank you all for joining us today. I'm Steve Clemons. We'll see you next week. Be well.